item 1, and the second one is self-introduction. I will start with the honorable members from Parliament, sitting from Parliament to introduce themselves. Honorable Charles Kabulai, I want to start with you.
Good afternoon. I'm Honorable Charles Kabulai from Good District.
I'm Honorable Alice Jagakunabe from Bond District.
I'm Honorable Sam Bishop from Bond District.
Good afternoon. I'm Honorable Jim Kalala, West of
Honorable Aruna Patrick Sokulako from Tawari District.
Honorable Pamela Amanda, Bond District. Honorable Julia Kalala, Fatima, Honorable Habasi Afar from Great Kaila. Honorable Yadama Daniela from Nigeria.
Honorable Asai Bash Kanara, Karele District. Deputy Chairman of the Committee.
Honorable Tabako Tawari District Chairman.
I am Halima Tusherif, committee clerk attached to this committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Janet Thomas Kuna.
Good afternoon. I am Abdulrahman Sharif Ishaq Hassan.
I'm Samuel J. Makami, the Joint Director.
I hand over to you for the introduction. You and your team.
Thank you very much. So from our end, I'll start from there.
Good afternoon. My name is El Mikele. I'm the Director of Field Operations.
Good afternoon. I'm John D. Afetijan, Director of Field Operations.
Good afternoon, Director of
My name is Thomas Samba, Deputy Director, Legal Affairs.
Good afternoon. I'm Abigail Fidabo, Deputy Director.
And I am Joseph Kwasa, Manager at Global Development and Performance Director of CPA.
Paul Elami, Director for National Resources Governance.
Deputy Director of Research Policy and Research.
Good afternoon. Mobashir Idris, Director of Environmental Health and Safety.
Good afternoon, Lamin Tarwali, Director of External Relations and Advocacy. Good afternoon, Joseph Sapinka, Deputy Director of Tourism Development.
Good afternoon, I'm Tamba Emmanuel Nyaka. I'm the Director of Parliamentary.
Good afternoon, Asanta Mugia, Director of Finance.
Thank you.
So, sorry, one more. So, good afternoon. I am Sheikh Makane. I am the Technical Head, Chief Director of the World Architecture. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the environment, and more especially because this time round you are get called rather than this is our small office. The executive chairman of is operational here, but is currently out in on another assignment, very important for national development. And I am here representing him as the technical head of the so you are home. This is our small office. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Whenever Parliament sits, within Parliament or out of Parliament, or whenever Parliament summons any agency, ministry, or department, we have a provisional mandate from the 1991 Constitution of Thailand. I will ask my colleague co-chair, clerk, to read out for us the constitutional mandate, the 1991 constitutional mandate that gives us the right to summon or to go out or keep meeting within Parliament. So, Madam Mary, can you please get for us the mandates? The section 93 and section 95.
Good afternoon, Committee. The role is to read the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone,
Act number 6. For this meeting, I will read only subsection 3. Like 3 it shall be the duty of any such committee as subsections to investigate or inquire into the activities or administration of such ministries or departments as may be assigned to it, and such investigation and inquiries may extend to proposal for legislation. And 95 of the 1991 Constitution says, any act or omission which obstructs or impedes Parliament in the performance of its functions, or which obstructs or impedes any member or officer thereof in the discharge of his duty or affronts the dignity of Parliament, or which tends either directly or indirectly to produce such a result shall be a contempt of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, honorable members, with this provisional mandate, may I proceed with the administration of oath of witnesses of Mr. Chair?
Chair, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first engagement we are having out of Parliament with EP. I move that we expunge the oath taking in this agenda.
All right, I think there is already a second are ready to push. So if the English language allows us, you say you so dead. All right. So yes,
Mr. Chairman,
motion is carried.
okay, thank you for exporting the administration of vote. I want to hand over to you for your open remarks and purpose of this oversight visit.
Thank you very much, Madam. Honorable members of Parliament, I thank you this morning for making the time to come for this very important meeting. Let me also, on behalf of the committee, thank Jay and all the staff here for accepting to open your doors to let us in. Who's office, you call it a small one, but let's say it's also whoozy. So we hope we are, a group of very happy people who are sitting in front of us. Yes, sometimes we go out rather than we come. I've just been reminded to inform you that as a protocol, I think what we're trying to do as a parliament is to ensure that we bring people along in what we do. We ensure that the unions are kept abreast. Civil unions are kept abreast with what Parliament does. And in that respect, we have developed a strategy to ensure that most of our meetings are streamed live. I hope that will not bother you at all. It's not for any reason other than Parliament wanting to be more open to its people. So this session is streamed live, so it will be viewed by people all over the world. So like I was saying, we've decided to come because sometimes it's more helpful. A member of Parliament use the word family meeting. Sometimes will create very much softer environment for us to discuss pertinent national issues. So that's why it's not a sermon, it's an oversight for us to go out and meet with relevant stakeholders. We are all aware that the Environment Protection Agency is so very vital, so very important for the development aspirations. Our development aspirations have been couched in what we call the medium-term national development. The medium-term national development plan, as we all know, hosts the big 5-year changes that are also enhanced by enablers to make it more reachable in understanding where we go, where we want to go, and how we want to go. So, just reading through a few documents, and again, thank you very much for all of these. I want to confess that we might not be able to read them all, but to promise you as well that we will take them along. We will ensure that every member of this committee reads these documents in order for this to inform us, maybe to even help us with our interface with other entities. I also want to promise you that next time we will not take you through all these troubles of printing. We are, as a committee, we are developing a strategy. Whenever we need short documentation, we'll supply you with email addresses of every member of Parliament, and these will be sent to the email addresses of members, and we will read them. I hope if we had done that, we may have received these before now. That could have helped us to read them, get enough knowledge around them before coming. So we want to apologize if printing all of these was a bit of an hassle. But to the point, ours is the Parliamentary Committee of Guideline. And our mandate is a little bit different from the normal Parliamentary Oversight Committee on the Environment. I'm sure this is the first time you are interfacing with this committee. You may have been engaging with the Committee on the Environment over and again over the years. This is the first time. This is the first time because we have decided to accept a request from the Minister of Development and our ministry, the Minister here and our ministry, for Parliament to step up to support the ministry in talking around the medium-term national development plan. Both the 2019-2023 National Development Plan, which had phased out or which still have aspects that were not achieved, and the 2024-2030 National Development Plan, both of which the successes of those or the failures of those will culminate to a report card that Leone will be making around 2030 as to how we are kept along with those global objectives, the sustainable development goals. Let me also quickly say, in case you are not aware, global objectives to fit our own context. And the medium-term national development plan, the 5 big game changers, are our own way of localizing the SDGs. So hence the letter that we sent to you pointed to the big 5 game changers and the medium-term national development plan. It was intentional that we did not mention all. I think in your letter, the letter we sent to you, we talked about enabler 1.3, enabler 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. It was also intentional we did not say what these enablers were, as clearly defined in the plan. And the reason is, as part of our work, we want to actually gauge how far ministries, development departments, and agencies are owning the development plan of the country. Are they making it their own document? Because unless and until we do that, then entities will now continuously, departments within entities we now start to think of how their plans will be aligned in the development plan. Their thinking, their aspirations as an institution will be aligned with this development plan. It will surprise you that we've been to places, to ministries, to agencies, where we found out that they have very, very little knowledge about the development plan of the country. So then, it's for us, it is a disservice to the nation, it's a disservice to the president. We have to own it, we have to know it to our own fingertips, and until then, we will not contribute effectively to it. So our work here today is to see how EPA as an entity is aligning themselves to these global objectives, which we have decided as a country to think globally or to act locally. I know there are issues, and we know as members of parliament, representing our people in different localities, there are so many issues that border around the activities of EPA. What they should have done, or what they should do, or did not do. Well, we are not particularly here to investigate that. However, as members would be making contributions to this engagement, they might be touching on those. Please allow that, although it is not the essence for which we are here. But there are existential problems that we want to Sierra Leone to be looked at, and Sierra Leone to be given a thumbs up that we are doing very well in those areas. Climate change. I have been a Sierra Leonean for all my life, and I'm sure this year, provides me the worst experience in terms of the excruciating heat that we experienced. I think those who were skeptical, science predictions that we need to do more, that our own anthropogenic actions are causing us this problem, we need to do everything. So, EPA, in our local context here, stands right in the middle of that. Right in the middle of that. We have issues of deforestation. Our forest cover have been depleted all over the place. We cannot blame EPA, but we will be encouraged to know what EPA is doing to reverse this trend. What's already there? What EPA is doing to ameliorate the problem. How can we replenish our environment? We are also very interested. We cannot sit here and assume that EPA can do it all. EPA have the magic wand. We are very interested to see what EPA is doing to ensure that policies that are drawn from laws are in alignment with other departmental policies and laws. How much of what you do is in concert, is coherent with others? Because we have found out that working in silos is one of our problems as a country. We have good policies, good intentions, but implementation. And implementation is always faulty because we decide to work in silos. Everybody concentrating in their own areas. The plan, both the SDGs and our own local plan, our medium-term national development plan, speaks to one aspect, which is means of implementation. Means of implementation. How do we get the money to implement the aspirations of the plan? But not just how do we get the money, how do we also work together to ensure that the plan is implemented? So, as a way of introducing this meeting, we are here to talk on this aspect. I've scanned through a little bit, and I already noticed that I think you went a little bit over and above what we have asked, which is, a plus. Kudos to you, and we are happy. We're happy. We are not inundated at all with this number of papers. We're happy that we have got them, and we'll do due diligence with them. So that is why we are here. We want to know how EPA is contributing to value addition and efficient management of our natural resources, building national environmental resilience, scaling up forestry management and wetland conservation, increasing investment, very critical, increasing investment in disaster management and governance. If we are satisfied that these plus others, these are just pointers, again, the remit is much wider, then we want to have them as a take home to go back. Those will be included in a report that will be tabled to Parliament very, very soon. And I want to extend the intention of the current speaker to you all, that the current speaker is very interested to ensure that every committee oversight report is taken very, very seriously. He has said it within us, and he has said it for public consumption, that everything that comes into reports that Parliament committees submit in Parliament will be taken seriously. So should we live here and include in our reports that as a committee we are not so satisfied with the level of compliance, the level, well, for want of a better word, the level of compliance with the medium-term national development plan. And for the committee's request for EPA to be summoned to Parliament for questioning, then don't be surprised. It will happen. But should we also come from here and recommend that from our own engagement, particular situations have been observed, have been experienced by EPA, which are an encumbrance to their contribution to the medium-term national development plan, that can also lead to legislation. That is the provision that the plan read out. So we are here for a very, very important business. We are not here, let me repeat, to do the job that your normal parent committee will come to do, to probe into your finances, financial probity, to look into how other things happen. That is not what we are here to do. We are mainly here to discuss around the medium-term national development plan and how you have been helping out in that aspect, and how you intend to do that. We can go further for you to help us, direct us to the tangibles beyond the papers. So without much ado, I thank you very much for accepting us. We will hand over to you. Talk to us in the manner you think is good for you, either by way of presentation, either by way of whatever. And afterwards, the members of the committee will lend their own voices to this meeting. Thank you so much very much.
Thank you very much, for us, this is really kind of work of God. We are very happy that we are engaging, more particularly trying to understand how the contributing to the national development agenda. And the reason why I think we are very happy is because we are more often than not, even here we align ourselves to national development agenda. But when we want to implement the law of the EPA, it is sometimes seen as the environment versus development or environment against development. which for us is really quite different case. For us, environmental compliance and standards requirements are really meant to enhance development intervention, to make it sustainable. Sustainable, meaning that the current generation enjoys the opportunities that we have, in making provision for the future generations to really enjoy same. And taking note of that, we want to thank you, and this is a very good initiative taken. And like said, that we are here as a family, and this is the first time you are meeting us. We may not provide as perfect as you may require, but we will try as much as possible to get you understand really how our work is and how it aligns with the medium-term national development plan and that of the United Nations Sustainable Development the Agenda 2030. So we'll talk briefly through what we have put together, and who we are available to respond to any questions, concerns that may arise as a result of our presentation, or any further information that you may need from us. So, Mr. Chairman, with your leave, I may want to start with our engagement with the past medium-term national development plan 2019 to 2023. So I will start by saying that the Environment Protection Agency works closely with the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development to really make a contribution to the medium-term national development plan. And at the development stage, or at the inception stage, the EPA is contacted, and we always try to align our actions to that of the medium-term national development plan. So the 2019-2023 medium-term national development plan had about was divided into clusters, and the EPA had actions on that cluster 7 of that plan, and indicators were set outlining what the EPA should be doing. So with targets, and they are outlined. For the purpose of time, we have a list of them which has been provided for you. I will just mention a few. For example, we in the last medium-term national development plan, we wanted to develop our act, or to review our act, which we succeeded in reviewing and repealing, and then we now have a new act, which is the EPA Act of 2022. During them, we work hardly to really establish a course, especially that should be specially suited for environmental cases. So, the Chief Justice then established a division at the High Court on Environment Climate Change, which was called the Environment and Poverty Court. And judges were trained on handling environmental matters. And we did develop regulations which Parliament actually approved. Some are still under review. Number of consultations were held around our work and the policy with policymakers, and engagements were done. We did a lot of awareness raising. We developed a lot of national level documents such as the NDC, the initial national adaptation plan, the NDC implementation plan. These are all frameworks for enhancing our readiness for climate change. So a lot of those activities are outlined, they were provided in the matrix. And then for the current action, the current medium-term national development plan which we have. So there are key activities outlining and linking to the medium-term national development plan and linking them to what we call the sustainable development goals. We have provided also that in the matrix with a list of them and their corresponding linkages to the medium-term national development plan in 1.3, 3.2, 3.3, so 3.1, they are all outlined. 3.2, they are all outlined in that matrix. And these activities ranges from implementation of enabling activities such as the capacity building initiative for transparency to enhance climate action. We implementing the Sierra Leone shift in electric mobility, which is also critical to reduce emission, and this is piloted. We are doing the policy engagement and trying to enhance the enabling environment to introduce electric mobility. In fact, we have started seeing with the intervention, we have started seeing solar panel packages around. So these are all as a result of the initiatives that we have introduced. So we are currently reviewing the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, and we want to align it with the Global Biodiversity Framework developed, and we have undertaken series of interventions which are linked to that. We have produced the first biannual update reports, communicating our actions, interventions, or how we are taking steps to address the climate challenge of the country, more particularly those ones linked to greenhouse gas reduction. If you can hear now about the shift in energy policy, for example, when green energy, promoting mini grids and solar panels right across the country is as a result of the national climate action-oriented communications that we are making globally. This is a national commitment communicated globally to the UNFCCC as to what we are doing. And we are currently on the verge of preparing the fourth national communication. It's also around how our national greenhouse gas emission actions are taken, how our country is vulnerable, the vulnerability situation, and what actions we want to take as a country to actually reduce our carbon footprint and build resilience of the country to the impact of climate change. So you have host of these, enhancing formalization of mercury reduction in artisanal gold mining. We see the river dredging happening right across the country, and the use of mercury, which is really health implicative to our people. So we are also taking an action for which we just got a grant from the Global Environment Facility to see how we can do a kind of formalization actions to reduce the use of that chemical in artisanal gold mining, and also finding ways of providing alternative livelihoods, and also finding ways of providing alternative livelihoods to enhance their removal from the toxic mining activities. So with Green Climate Fund, we work with Save the Children. Sorry. matrix is
Yes.
you are having the matrix. So let me just speak to it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So with Green Climate Fund, we are having what we call the Strategy of Coastal Resilience project, and in partnership with Save the Children. This project intends to actually provide support to coastal communities to build their resilience on the impact of climate change, and for them to be able to adapt to coastal climate effect. Issues such as livelihood support, rehabilitation of the mangrove depleted area. So this is going to be in partnership with NPAA, Save the Children, Environmental Foundation for Africa, Conservation Society Sierra Leone, and many other organizations. So to just indicate the kind of coordination and collaboration that we are having with other institutions to ensure that we take action for national development. So for the illegal mining activities, we've conducted several raids. I mean, I would say quite unpopular, but they need to be done. Otherwise, we will be having a country with no fresh water right across the country. Because I mean, by physically looking at the rivers, you see that they are highly turbid. The color is changed. The colors are changed, and therefore we needed to take an immediate action to ensure that this is really stopped. I mean, as difficult as this is, we had a presidential call back in 2020 to actually take all necessary steps to stop these actions. But again, it's quite challenging because, I mean, like you said, coordination is critical, so we can't achieve that alone. So recently we had what we call the Climate Change Summit together with Send Foundation to really raise the national level awareness on the climate action, and we discuss climate-related issues with government sector, private sectors, NGOs, to really look at how we can take action holistically to address climate change. Of course, we are doing a lot of environmental monitoring and audits for the environmental impact assessment licensed companies that we are having, and so we just got the new EIFE regulation approved by Parliament, which is going to be rolled out. It's sector specific for it to be development friendly, to really be flexible and support specific development interventions such as agriculture, tourism, and the like. And we've had stakeholder engagement. I mean, we are having mining activities over the years. We've had mining activities that goes on and on without rehabilitation. So we have taken actions to ensure that miner rehabilitation is a must. So we have done several engagements, and including development, assessing development of plans, and then we recently engaged the national stakeholders within the mining sector for rehabilitation and closure bonds, so that if you mine and live without rehabilitation, we have a way of getting the government to get resources to do the rehabilitation. So, I mean, climate change legislation and waste management policy is on course. We are currently working on it together with the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. And so there are a lot of enabling activities that we are doing to enhance the environment. In all of this, we have done so well to ensure that we put everyone into environmental compliance and ensure that we promote the management of our natural resources effectively. Um, strive within our mandates. We are to ensure that there is absolute compliance with environmental standards and ensure that we support sustainability of action, more particularly on the front of the environment. But this is faced with series of challenges. Uh, for example, currently we are faced with chemical governance systems, and because we have parallel structures with overlapping functions, like rightly said, Mr. Chairman. I mean, every institution trying to do their bit. I mean, for example, the NMA, we say they are the ones that give permission for explosive, and explosive are chemicals. And naturally, chemicals management should be under the purview of the Environment Protection Agency. So, I mean, a lot of legal. Which one?
That's not.
We are talking about explosives.
Yes.
So, NMA, we say the mines division should give permission for use of explosive in the country. And explosive are chemicals. And chemicals generally, even the convention is under the Environment Protection Agency.
Okay.
So, I mean, I have just spoken about the legal instruments, especially those acts that create MPAs are conflicting. You can't be talking about pollution, and then you say water pollution should be handled, for example, by National Water Resources Management Agency. The responsibility of National Water Resources Management Agency should be managing water in terms of quantity and availability. But when it comes to pollution issue, that's an environmental issue. There is nowhere in the world that you can take pollution issue from the environment. So if you say air pollution, I mean the land, water should be the responsibility of the Environment Protection. But because I mean at the development of the laws, probably we sometimes oversight or creation of many institutions looking for mandates leads to overlapping mandates. So there are lots of conflicting rules and regulations that guides us. We are challenged in a whole with data and information. For example, we want to report when we want to report to the UNFCCC on the climate action of the country through the nationally determined contribution or through the national communications, we find it very difficult to really get the real-time data to support as evidence to support our information that we are producing, because information are fragmented across the various sectors, and it is often very difficult to ascertain their credibility and relevance of purpose. So internal revenue, when we mean in-country revenue, is also a challenge. Environmental issues are really demanding and require huge resources for response. To conduct one raid, I mean, on river pollution, for example, you spend nothing less than 150, 200,000 euros for just one raid. I mean, spending money on security officers, the staff that goes to the field, the floor, I mean, people that provide support with information is really challenging. And we have computing priority for government. There is health, there is education, I mean, there is agriculture, livelihood, and a whole lot of things. And environment as an additional factor, where as a factor within the competing priorities. Sometimes attract little resources or funding. Um, of course, capacity is a very serious challenge. This is an emerging area. Every day we get emerging issues, emerging opportunities come. Now we are talking about plastic, for example. I mean, there is currently a global treaty negotiation about plastic, around plastic pollution. And treaty negotiation has its own capacity, its own negotiation skills and all. And within the country, we really don't have strong capacities to address all the environmental climate challenges that we have. So, of course, these are critical challenges that are really faced. I mean, there are others, they are listed, they're provided for honorable members. But in all this, we count it joy because we continue to get stronger day by day, more particularly in handling environmental issues. And we've learned two major lessons. One, we realized that the total dependence of project funds to carry out activities planned by the agency uh, have a tendency to miss out a whole lot of achievement. What we have been doing is internal resources are limited. Let's go out for funding. So sometimes you do application for funding, you have to wait for the length. And the MTE has got a time limit. For example, the Save the Children project that we have now, we started the application back in 2019, and this was aligned with the previous medium-term national development plan. The only good news is when Ministry of Planning is developing their medium-term national development plan for the country, I mean, there's consultation. So those low-hanging fruits are normally linked to these ones. That's how we get, for example, the intervention in the poster project with Save the Children, the GEF, for the current medium-term national development. But more often than not, by the time you go in for it, you get the application approved, reviews go on, get it approved, I mean, the relevance of focus may have been missing. And the number two thing is that collaboration and coordination within the MDAs will immensely improve institutional output at all levels. And we have tried as much as possible to improve it, working with different institutions. And in joint regional meetings, national level consultations, community engagement together to ensure that we are really speaking together as institutions. And this is really within the environment sector. We have enjoyed this in the last 3 years, and we feel that if this can be expanded upon, we really create some strong action for development at national level. So we're recommending that if we have the opportunity to improve our human resources, really more particularly on specialized areas like GIS, chemicals management, negotiation skills. There are many areas that are great. Climate change, more particularly greenhouse gas emission data collection and all. We want to ensure that we also improve the capacity of civil society organizations, more particularly on climate change and environmental management. We have very few with the boldness to intervene in the field of environment. The greater proportion of the civil society organizations that you see, we always talk about livelihood support, I mean, child support, education, health. But the space of empowerment for civil society is really at the moment closed. We really want to open that, and we can only ensure that through strong capacity building. So we feel that if we conduct a lot of engagement program with political class like you, and who the good thing is you're here, I mean, to understand for the first time what our work is. If we can continue this kind of engagement, we really enhance the political will to gather the support around environmental action, and we think that is very important. And so the analysis and all. There are a host of them, but let me stop here, and we ask, send the floor back to honorable members for any questions, concerns. I'm here with colleagues who will be able to respond to our concerns. And beyond that, we are always open. I mean, those ones that you cannot raise, you can always ask us. We'll be able to provide answers. Those answers that we cannot provide now, we'll be able to provide. Thank you very much.
I think that was a sound and succinct report. It's detailed to the point, and I'm sure you guys are paying attention. Let me thank you on that. You've highlighted a few very important points. But meanwhile, I would want to allow members to contribute to this family by way of so the floor, everyone there? Who wants to start? All right, I'll give the floor to the right honorable Afar.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to the acting CEO for the presentation. Of course, you all had what you said and referring us to the document. Yeah, one of the things I want to say here, as a member of this committee, we do appreciate the presentation, and for the purpose we're here, I think you spoke our mind, and for the purpose we're here, we want to commend the team, you and the team, yeah, because we're here to see how far you contributed to the SDGs and the national medium-term national development plan, to which this country is working assiduously to at least fulfill our commitment to achieving the 2024 to 2030 global goals or commitments we've made already. We're happy you are on track. However, we may have one or two areas that we want to know and ask maybe for clarifications or for recommendations we deem necessary. Of course, your portion of the medium-term national development plan and also the global goals you have already highlighted, like 13, you mentioned 7, and the enablers. But the practical means, most of them you were saying, you've presented them. How far this can be practically, be seen as to what this country has committed to doing. As you heard the chairman saying, in a few weeks' time, 2 weeks' time, this country and each partner should be presenting a position paper as to how far we are as a country in meeting these global commitments. The country, as a rule, will present its own position paper, and also the CSO will present an alternative report. So we didn't want the essence of this committee meeting today with you. We didn't want the CSOs to present something contrary to what the government will present. Let's say, okay, EPA has done this, they have done it, then they will go to the mining companies where water pollution is taking place. All chemicals are being dumped into the rivers, the drinking waters of, you know. I worked in the mines. I know the type of chemicals that are deposited in those rivers. You know, like for rutile mining, every stage in the mining of rutile has different chemicals that they will use, from excavation to the plants, be it wet plant, the dry plant, the geological side, all those flotations and the like. They use different chemicals. And there was a time we experienced one of the hazardous chemicals, dry max, and this caustic soda liquid was deposited into the river. And down there was a village Betima. It was a serious problem we had at that time. So these are some of the things. If other people will come and say, we present a very nice report, then alternative reports, or people observe and see what, that kind of. So it's better you are contributing, but the practical steps also very, very important. This engagement is very important. It's worth doing because you are on track, but however, our observations, what we think can add more value to what you're doing. I think after this engagement and for further engagement, will enhance more credence to your job. Like the enabler 3 under your one of your areas, this advancing climate resilience and environmental actions. You've taken several steps, in achieving this one. Are they practically, feasible? When we go to the mines, when we go to the road construction, just from my region area where I come from, the environmental side of it, yesterday I reported that to the SLRA guys. What the mining company, after there was a portion of their job where they excavated the subsoil, the topsoil, which of course is referred to as debris, because that's their own. What they want is the subsoil, so they move away the subsoil, of course. But to us as agriculturists, that's what we want. So they are not reclaiming this land. They leave it open and it's been deposited on the roads for the pedestrians and the other vehicles. So these are all some of the things. But again, which one of the things you mentioned, which is very key as a challenge, which we also as a committee, chair, clerk, will look into, and then let's take some notes on, is the overlapping functions between you and EP, this enemy, which this agency,
No. So yeah, we have
this one that Mr. Dabo is heading as the Director General. NMA, okay, yeah, good. EPA and NMA, who is responsible for water pollution, the ground, the air, and like the gas emission in country? China, with all this powerful in terms of development, they are struggling with nitrogen gas in the air. So whose responsibility is it? So as a committee, that is why I am happy that you're looking forward for the political will, and Parliament will be one step, to achieving that one. We'll escalate that to really see whose responsibility is that one. Because we may want to make a report to either NMA or EPA to looking into all those issues, but so that we'll be guided when we have a clear understanding as to whom we make a report to, then it will be fine for us as a country. Of course, the data management, the data information is also a skill. When presenting those data, I mean, you send it to other places, other users, other stakeholders. But if you send the reliability of those data is a challenge, then one can question. So, what is the plan? What is the recommendation, or what's the steps they think you can take to salvage that kind of situation, Mr. CEO, acting CEO? So by and large, of course, I am really passionate about the and happy about the presentation because you have highlighted, you've taken steps, a lot of activities planned, a lot of activities undertaken to meet these of your own commitment towards meeting the medium-term national development plan. So on that note, I want to thank you for the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Thank you very much, Honorable Member, who have taken the floor before me. I want to thank the acting CEO for the presentation done and the rest of the team. Chair, thank you very much for the presentation for EPA to understand the role of the Committee on Planning and Economic Development. CEO, my first contribution will be around conflicting acts. We have seen in your document the 2008 Act being ratified, 2010, and now we have 2022 Act. I think you still have to do more. I've seen it in the plan, but you need more consultation so that you can make a national act that will stand the test of time. The reason is because my colleague was talking about conflicting acts. I'm coming from Komodo Street, you will see mining companies have a huge amount of land. For me, if you say 300 by 300 kilometers square of land, if this land happens to have a forest that should not be destroyed, it's enemy that will have the responsibility to say we discard this forest or is EPA. I know EPA give EPA license to mining companies, but how is it done when enemy is doing the work, enemy is doing this work independently, or enemy and EPA does the work together? I know there is conflict in that area, and as a miner also, or somebody from the mining area, we really need to pay some attention in some of these areas so that we can continue to protect our forest. We know that EPA have done a lot, even from the strategic plan, the reports we have seen have shown the work that EPA is doing. But we want EPA to be more robust. It's difficult when you have agencies existing already that have their own act, and when maybe you go further, they will go to the extent maybe to report, you have this your cabinet situation where we are parliamentarians, we know more about parliament. But we just want to say this country depends on the work of the EPA. The simple reason is because, as the chair said, see the kind of hot or heat we noticed this year. It has never happened in our history. So to see a strategic plan for 2024-2030, for me, it means EPA is really aligned with the midterm national development. Because they have not only explained their strategy, but they have even budgeted. So as parliamentarians, they have given us a guide to even discuss their budgets whenever we are talking about budgets. Because for 7 years, now they are aligning their cost in US dollar, and I think it's good for you to review before the budget season will come. Honorable Chair, I also want EPA to understand that if you go to the peninsula, you will see crushing companies they are depleting these forests. Who is giving them the land? So I know maybe EPA cannot do all because of conflicting acts. But EPA, you have parliament, you have your parent committee, you can engage. Let's see how best we can come together to solve some of these problems. Only Uchia, if you go to Tonkolili, for example, the Leone rock mining company, if you watch the demarcation of land they have and what they are paying to surface rent, if you go to Komo, it's totally different. You can see mining companies paying like 200,000 or 200 million as surface rent, for something like 300 kilometers, 300 by 300 kilometers square. If you go to other places, they are paying huge amount of money. They are paying millions. So we are confident that if EPA have a strong mandate, maybe they can also help because we have this agricultural also laws working in the area of land. They will negotiate for crop compensation. For us that are living in mining areas, we are not comfortable with some of this crop compensation. But because we believe you are the technical people, you are dealing with global documents as we have seen the SDGs being involved here. Maybe you can help your colleague agencies to see exactly how they can help government succeed in the international development plan. So my concern is how EPA will collaborate with other committees in Parliament to work with their parent committee to support their agenda 2024 to 2030. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. I think the member.
Yes.
From Kailan, before Kailan, after
That's my
before this
senior.
opportunity. Okay, boss.
Yes, that's my senior say something.
Thank you very much, your sister. Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. I'm very happy to be here today. The Taya River. Taya River is a very big concern. I am from Donchigo, Bond District.
So Taya is going to come and show.
And we are getting the heaviest impact of the pollution caused by illicit miners in the northern province, specifically from Tokolili. I picked it up the last parliament. The committee was set, which went on and did the investigation. They did a very good job. They came up with some recommendations which are never implemented. Now, as it is, the Taya River is useless. My people cannot use it for nothing again. They cannot use it for fishing, for washing, cooking. So really, I want to know, first of all, about the pollution of the Taya River. And what actions have you taken? Because I see a lineup of activities that you have done in some parts of the other, in some other parts of the country, but not to the south. So I want to know what you are going to do about the Taya River. Because right now, my people they are discouraged. The only thing now that the river is there for is when people drown in it. But they cannot use it for any economic purposes. So I know you know something about it. And what is trying to tell me? Chairman,
So, Mr. Chair,
I rest on case.
thank you. Mr. Chair, is it possible that we should respond before?
Yes, if that's better, if that's better,
Exactly.
well, let's do it that way.
So, I don't know, maybe we'll start with your, which is
Last, yes.
yeah, because the two others have been, I see them as recommendation to us for improvement of what we are doing. But this is quite critical and we need to talk about it. Mr. John D, do you want to say something about our actions around river pollution, river dredging, and what we've done so far? What are the challenges? How are we? Please.
Thank you very much, Chief Director. I also want to thank the Chairman for oversight committee on planning and development and team for coming to the I've been asked to respond to the question that if you read through the report that was submitted to Parliament, you see that the South was covered. But if listen for specific city, I want to clearly come up with the action I've taken so far. The topic seems here at Taya and also your rivers within the country. This is a serious concern. As PPA, we know it's serious. We have always treated it with the kind of serious consideration. We have conducted several raids in making sure that people who are undertaking activity that lead to the community status of some of those rivers disabled their operations. In April, myself and team, we are out in the field, and not only to address the issue at Zaya, because when you talk about pollutions, there are also other rivers which we call tributaries that connect to some of those rivers, And when some of them are disturbed with whatever activity, there is high tendency to impact on the major rivers. So we know Taya have been engaged seriously, and because they have exhausted, those behind those illegal activities are now moving to also restore those tributaries. So with collaborations and intelligence, we gather from the community and also through other different ways. Visited this area and we are able to disable a lot of the dredge that lead to they are using for river mining that leads to community of those rivers. We are disabled. We did it in the south, we did it in the east, we also did it in the northern part of the area. And those evidences are in the report we submitted to the parliament. So if you read through those reports, you see that rivers, their names are there. Before this time, maybe you have only mentioned Taya, but Taya stretch far back from the north. And when you go to the northern part, it's the Pampana, and it stretch down, and it keep coming down, you see the turbidity flow. So this is why we think river activities need to be hot at every given point, because it affects every people that attach components downstream. And if we are not careful, when the chief director was presenting, he did mention that we are part of most of those enemies, and we should be seen domesticating some of those in those conventions. And if we allow the actions of other people to lead into other countries' waters, then they have the tendency to also fulfill them. So let's forget the fact that it's affecting our own people, but also the external factors. So these are some of the actions we're taking. But as I speak, sometimes the work is challenging, particularly when you feel we are doing what protects Sierra Leone and its people. Then again, it's coming back at us. When we completed that race, I'm quite sure a few parliamentarians are here. we are also summoned by Parliament to answer a question why we have to undertake this. When even is the presidential announcement that we should stop. Yes. I think there are few people that can attest to that. Yes. So we have to answer to a series of questions why we have to undertake. Even when people, you yourself, everyone moves to McKinney, somebody, you see the pampana. If you go to Mo, you see the tire. But even when those actions were taken by people, we are also summoned. So we get his conflicting.
Yeah, so I just want to show a video. I just want to show a video shortly by the of the action that we did. Not to do. Yeah, so why? This is.
If we asking if the law permits us to do, and if you look the legal people, we attest to the fact that in the act there are clear provisions that state yes, when there are those provisions, we should take action. But even besides that, I think everyone who is quite familiar with development and things that come from development announcements from president, you will notice yes, directive that we should take direct action. Yes. But even when we completed those actions, we are against someone. So it's conflicting. Sometimes it comes this way that we are not doing against one it's coming against.
So, honorable member, so in some of the actions, just want to show a video of the raid on these rivers. And for you to see the action, you see the number of dredges. This is Pampana, upstream of the I mean, we have got jet skis, 2 jet skis that we use along rivers to really raid. But sometimes to sustain it is quite difficult because it requires resources and it requires coordination. Like he was saying, it's not only about the backlash that we get from officials, but also even connivers within community. Sometimes you organize, you waste resources, by the time you get there, the news is there. They are gone. So it is really challenging. Like the entire issue is really upstream. It's from Pampana running down. So not to really jump. So you can't do anything on the south end. It has to be upstream. And that's where we concentrate more often than not. So that's why you can't see us downstream, but we are taking action upstream. But again, it's difficult.
Yeah, Sewa, they both meet. Yes, one is
and now they don't boil this water, they don't come for the water. They can't say they say that all man come up and this water for
According to Section 12 of the EPA Act of 2022 and based on one presidential directive dated 9th June 2021, the agency will carry out one standard for stopping illegal dredge mining and redevelopment in waterways right across the country.
This is just one function of what the EPA do, but it's just to protect the environment. And like I said, this is going to carry on the entire eastern region, and then we go to Kenema, we just because all our waters, our major waters are under serious threat. And because they are under threat, this is not within our offices for watch and for the group. So that's why we come around for just and we look for problems in their burner. We don't say the act of burning is not good environmentally, but can be lesser evil.
So one of the things that we have tried to do is, the reason for revising the act is to ensure that we really bring on board community level engagement. So we are now, in line with our act, we are now going to be establishing children level environment committees and bring local stakeholders to really coordinate with us for some of these actions. Because we notice that, I mean, there are a lot of connivers at local level. For example, the primary chiefs, the section chiefs, I mean, work together with, it's about livelihood, work together with these miners to engage in these activities. And sometimes by the time you get there, I mean, those who are really culpable cannot be apprehended. The youths who are hired to do the work are the ones you end up apprehending, who are not the actual people that you need. So we face a whole lot of challenge in engaging. So the reason why we say that it is important that we continue engaging, I mean, probably this is a kind of eye-opener for if we can also engage with other parliamentary stakeholders and other political stakeholders to really understand some of the challenges that we are facing, it becomes easier for us. But as it is, I mean, you burn this today, I mean, by tomorrow they are preparing another. We don't know what the economy is. Probably the profit that they get out of it is greater than the preparation or fabrication of the dredging. So this is a whole lot of challenge. And we also need your support to help us sustain this intervention.
25 people are to the roads, so they fuel the environment. When we get into this community, do you sensitize them about your actions?
Yes, we do a lot of community engagement. Apparently, over the years, we have what we call village to village environmental community awareness engagement. So we go, because we know people do go to farm, we carry PA system, television and things, and then in the evening, like during the night when everybody has come from the farm, we engage them. So we do that on a sustained manner. We do stakeholder engagement, bring paramount chiefs, section chiefs, community leaders together to talk to them about environmental awareness. One of the other thing that we have done is to try to see how we provide a kind of formalized system where we can introduce or help support the introduction of a clean mechanism that gold miners can use through the artisanal gold mining, the small artisanal small scale gold mining project, which we call the Gold Plus. It's in that report. So we are trying to roll out that. I mean, we just got the approval, like I was saying, depending on external resources. We've been after that project for over 2 years. We just got approval, and we're intending to start rolling it out between July and August. So probably that would be another way of helping. We are really taking a kind of triangulative approach. I mean, the hard, the software, and the engagement approach to ensure that we really get communities understand that some of these practices are really deterrent to environmental problem. In fact, my fear is I'm coming from a district where we are the only clean water running across the country is that's Skylam. And I have my sister there. So again, the Moa River has also been attacked with mining activities. For over 1 year, that was the only clean river that we can point at. The Moa River, I think, and the Rokel. But both of them are now also under attack.
Now that you're talking about rivers,
so if we don't,
Their staff capacity.
If-
You have staff in those areas to monitor.
yes.
So
We have regional offices, they do go out of monitoring. But again, lies with the resources. Ideally, we should be having environmental monitors even at chiefdom level.
Yeah.
But do we have the resources to handle that? No, we don't. And the reason why we have said let us have chiefdom level environment committees that will really help us with some of the actions that we take. So we only hope we'll be able to resource that equally.
What about
Working with the local government councils? Because these paramount chiefs, if mandate is coming from the local government, I think they will.
Yes, we do work with the
with
local
punishment.
Yes, we do work with the local council. I think Mr. Government.
Let me just react to this. In a very Kailam and on one, we are at a particular point the primary chief has to send people to go and
yes.
against us.
Because
so it's really very complex. That's why I'm saying it's a difficult situation. Because sometimes the community connive and you cannot send one officer, it's risky because you will not. I tell you, because conflict for economic gains is always very challenging and it can be so very terrifying.
And at some point, some big people, you're talking about council, they are pioneers, they are the financiers for dredge mining. If you go there, the alarm is raised, means people call you. And this is not good if we want to protect our environment.
Honestly.
Because as soon as we are out of the field, either we are called by the parliament to come and answer why. And if we are in the field, if we are in the field, you have to call to say, don't go there. So at the end of the day, we are not doing the right thing. And now if you go to they are now using to rush swamp.
Henry, you have a question.
Yes, I can answer.
No, not for you. General. Yeah.
Yes, I want to know, as you are engaging people up there, sensitizing them, what have you put in place to also come and talk or sensitize those ones who are traumatized because of the color of the river, like in Matujong, like in the villages that are situated along the river, who are not using this river again, but they go far or maybe to fetch water for drinking and for domestic use. With all that trauma in their head, what are you going to do?
Now, there is this trade in chemical coming from Guinea, and people who are coming from Thailand know about it now. All the swamps around from Kwendu coming down to even to Zaru, most of the swamps you don't get what we used to have, big coconut beaches. Those swamps. Yes, they are all gone.
Don't be scared.
And the swamp is no more like producing green leaves anymore. It's all white. Yes, for the chemicals they are using, it can kill the plant in no time, so that it reduce their labor. So all of these will raise alarm, will raise awareness, will engage communities. We've got even security guards who are manning those water lines. So it's not like we're not intervening, we're not really doing much, but like there are a lot of bottlenecks that are working.
Talking about the border areas, what is the status of this area far north around, is it by the beach? No, the other end,
Malaba, okay, Musaya.
That is just recently we saw some videos trending on social media about cows crossing, something about
animals crossing the river.
Not necessarily the animals, the mining itself. The mining.
That's dojo. Oh, that's
no, they are talking about no, they are talking about the click some
That's what I'm talking about. Yes. This one for
Lexon form. There's something difficult to share here. I'll tell you, we are trying a little bit. I'll tell you, some people are operating like areas that do not have a license, but they still carry on their operations. Sometimes we go there, you see government officers, OSD, military officers, and they usually don't have guns. All we do is a technical understanding as to how to protect the environment. So under such situations, it has always been like that. The lake, from the environment standpoint, we know how important that lake is. And we don't want any activity that will tamper the integrity and health of the lake. But even with all of that, people are taking machineries, they are taking people there. And these are very strong people, stronger than even all some of us here.
So since this became a worry for the public, it became a public concern. And it's one thing that I was going to even raise the motion of in Parliament. Have you raised the red flag? And or do you sound, a giving up kind of?
Not really. We hope that we are talking like families here and
Yes, we are talking like family.
To have crime engagement.
Yes.
So one of the things that we need to understand also is that in my opening statement, I indicated that environment is seen not only in Sierra Leone, but in developing countries or least developed countries as anti-development action. Because for obvious reason, development in least developed countries is seen as economic prosperity, is seen as infrastructural opportunity or spread out, is seen as livelihood opportunities or food self-sufficiency. And all those ones really make use of the environment. And for poorer countries, we don't have the necessary technology, the necessary means to really effectively undertake those actions without infringing with the environment. Vis-a-vis, apart from the technology, even the understanding about how important is the environment to you. I think it's only now getting visible when we are talking about issues of climate change. Like, I am happy that you felt the heat of the temperature. Now, if you stand in Parliament to talk about climate issue, you will really be passionate about it. And until people really start feeling those kind of acts, it becomes very difficult. People want money in their pockets. And more often than not, the affluents are the one really supporting these people in the community to do these activities. And the resources are not really remaining in the communities. They are getting into the pockets of the affluents sitting in the city. And when the disaster strikes, it does not affect them, they affect those ones. So somebody sitting here in Freetown doing mining activities is able to afford a bottle of water. And then when the river Teya and Pampana gets polluted, those ones really in the community engaged that are supported through the mining activities are not able to buy it. So they result in drinking polluted water. So the question is, in our strive for development, do we care about sustainability? The reason why the idea of sustainable development goal was introduced. And we are deliberate about, for example, our strategic plan, because by 2030, we are reporting on most of the indicators of the sustainable development goal. And therefore, if we really want to be accountable globally as focal point for multilateral environmental agreements, we need to be able to set our indicators in line with those targets. That's what we've done in our strategy. Could that be the same action taken by different MPAs? Could it be a self-responsibility taken by individuals for us to really be able to take action to address some of these challenges? Sometimes what we see when we sit on the table is quite different from what we see when we go to the field. I mean, I get my staff live at risk most times when I send them to the field, because I mean that young man was part of one of the trips that went to Kono on a raid, and they were attacked. The vehicles were damaged, and they had to run into the bush. And we are human equally. We don't have security. No risk allowance is provided for anybody in this institution going to the field. So we have a whole lot of challenges. The political will may help. We got relaxed when we intensified the raid, because we are called to Parliament at a point to say that, I mean, you don't have the exclusive mandate. Even though this was a call by the president, they said we don't have the exclusive mandate to undertake the raid.
And what I would advise, anytime you go into any community, make sure you inform the MP in that area, because they tend to listen to the honorable. The honorable is coming, something like that.
So with all due respect, ma'am, we have taken all actions. Every approach have not been fruitful. So more often than not, the moment you inform people that we are doing a raid, we are going to this community, by the time you get there, you are not safe. So sometimes we keep the information classified. Not even the field officers get to know what we are doing. Not even the police. We just take them, we say we are going to the field. When we get to Bo, then we tell them we are going this way, and then we direct the way we go. But by the time you sit down, plan, engage, and say you talk to people that, oh, we are doing this, I mean, you won't find anything. And remember, we are spending resources to go to the field.
And under our very own eyes, look like what happened in Freetown yesterday, day before yesterday. All this plastic bottle, if you go to this place called Hill Region, it's more than billions. Yeah. Under our very own eyes. We are so careless in this nation. I think the government needs to do something to really put things straight, right, for us to do the actual thing. It's very disheartening.
I remember, I think one of the reasons is supposed to engage in
yes,
protection changes.
That's why I'm
so they should be
bringing.
more proactive to ensure that some of these things are addressed.
That's why I'm bringing the issues out. You can't give out what you don't have. But if they have the mandate, and if politicians like us are not calling them, so Mr. Kane, I think you need to go to His Excellency again, and he knows, like when you go to Sanders Street, Sambagota, all these areas that we are flooded yesterday, and tell him the implication of what is happening in this nation and what will happen in years to come. Because 1,000 miles start with step. If we sit down and say, these people out there are not taking this serious, they are not doing this, it will continue to happen. So one, the paramount chiefs in those areas, the local council, have to come on board with strict punishment and all the rest. Then we do massive sensitization. Then we say, if we catch you doing A, B, C, and D, this is what will be the penalty and all the rest. Like for instance, PSC committee. There was nothing, people took money, GST money, pay as you earn money. They were using it for themselves. But when the deputy speaker came in, we have started recovering all these monies. We can't sit down and say nothing is happening. Something can happen. First, go and report yourself to His Excellency and say, sir, you are the captain of this boat. Look at Britain. It's all over social media what has happened. If you don't do A, B, C, and D, believe you me, you will not have peace of mind. Because with our own action, then we are blaming president when it was flooding. Hey, flooded, this and that's forgetting that we are the one that put this thing and all this plastic that block these drainages and all this. So from there, you take action points. That's what I'm advising, because we'll continue to blame people. It will not work.
Thank you very much. Do you want to subscribe to this one?
Yeah, in a way.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming. I think this is one of the best things that has happened. You, Parliament, stand the best, only people that can solve these problems.
That's right.
It's not the president, it's not us, it's you. The power you have can solve the problem. Our power, our actions are a grind of the sun into your power. Please, as you are doing this oversight today, we are trusting in you that our problems, the problem of this country, we are reverting it back to you. Take our case where it's supposed to be. That is in your hands. Whatever it is, after today, God is my witness. If you guys give us the power, because you can right now block me up. President, we are working for president, but even the power of president comes from you guys. So when you guys make the decision, it's over. President hasn't called us. He gave us mandate to burn things up. He didn't call us and stop us. It was you that invited us and told us stop. And once you say stop, you stop. So it's upon you again. When you come out here and see what we are doing, and you see the problem, please, brothers, let it be our responsibility to revert to your colleagues. Tell them, EPA is going through this. And EPA really think the power rests with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I want to say,
Thank you.
yes.
Let me just say one thing. When it was in the case of Kush, it was a collective effort. We make law in Parliament, but we don't implement. We have the security forces. So all of us have to come together to make it work.
The only difference though is Bush has got no competing action with any development or economic opportunity, unlike environmental protection. You're talking about plastic. When we wanted to introduce the extended producer responsibility to ensure that companies take the responsibility to collect the sachet, water, plastic, and the bottle from the environment, they threatened to increase the price of the water. And you know what that meant? Water, sachet water and bottled water has become a kind of socio-political commodity right across the country. Now, even when you go to villages, you find it there. So the moment you take action, say, hey, this is what we want to do. So what they will do next is to factor that in the cost, and then people start crying. And with all fairness, we are serving the people. We also want to hear from the people. So we always want to find a balance of action, get a way to implement a balance of action to address all these problems. Currently, we have the national plastic policy, and we are working on development of the law, which will be implemented. At a global level, we are also negotiating the global plastic pollution treaty. So these are all enabling activities. So sometimes, hey, we also have to take the balance. I mean, a system, I would say, and this is my personal opinion, not from an institutional opinion. I would say this is a system with a long standing of rebel war, with broken system, no regulations, no law, and most of us that were born during them or grew during them are the ones now that are mature with that kind of orientation. So it's a whole engagement to ensure that we change the perception, how people can look at national responsibility and how people can really say, look at themselves and say, how do I add value as an individual to my country, not the country adding value to the. I think that is what is missing. And we all need to engage, I'll be happy to see somebody coming from America and landing at the airport and not just throwing. And it happened at a point. We traveled together. This guy was coming from Jersey. I mean, everything is organized.
Exactly.
The moment he landed at the airport, drank water, just threw away the bottle like that. And I was saying, okay, is it because this is written?
Exactly.
What about this telecommunication poles? Long run, they give cancer. And the mandate, even in overseas, it's out of town, but now it's in the middle of the houses. Yeah. So what are we bringing it up there again? Because it's very serious.
There's radiation protection.
Yes, and just for information, honorable member, just to remind you, and even for your own interest, tomorrow we'll be meeting with the National Protected Area Authority. Okay. We'll be meeting with the Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection Authority.
Exactly. That's
and we'll be meeting with the ministry tomorrow. Okay. So just for you to know. I saw your hand was consistently up.
Yes.
I want to give you some time.
Yes, a few minutes. I just want to give some examples of what, because I think one of the things we want to find out is what has the EPA been doing. So I want to give a few examples of some of the things the EPA, either on their own or with other agencies and ministries, have been doing to address the multiple problems that we have. So environmental issues are intersectoral issues. One person cannot handle them. Obviously, the EPA is in Freetown and in only four other cities: McKinney, Kono, Kenema, and Bo. And in all of these cities, we have one vehicle, and sometimes it breaks down. So, yeah, in Bo, one in Kenema, one in Kono. It sometimes breaks down, and so we are not able. There are capacity issues. That's what I want to first of all. But we work with other sectors: the Forestry Division of the Ministry of Environment, the National Protected Area Authority, the Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection Authority. These are all examples. Specifically with regards to plastic waste, the ministry has been spearheading the development of a plastic policy which we have now, and there are parts of that policy which have already started to be implemented. For example, in the 2024 Finance Act, there are penalties, or they put taxation for somebody bringing virgin plastic to make something like that. And they give you tax-free if you bring alternatives to plastic.
Yes, we are aware of that.
Yes. So these are all things that we supported the ministry technically to develop. With regards other waste management issues, there are quite a few projects in our food. Yes, pipeline projects. The government of Sierra Leone, through the Ministry of Finance, for example, is implementing the Resilient Urban Sierra Leone project, and one of those the main activities, they will be building the first engineered landfill site somewhere in Hastings. And with things like this, maybe, making this more expensive, people will start collecting them and taking it to the dump sites. There are activities, for example, in Kingston now, they are making paving tiles and other things from plastic. Kisidokia, there's a company that is using all of these water sachets to make maybe plastic trays and other plastic bags. So there are quite a few of these activities that we are involved in, which are helping, but there are capacity issues.
Thank you.
And I think, I think for the first time we have launched a youth innovation challenge, looking at the potential of youth that have innovation to solve some of our environmental challenges. And so we are working with UNDP, and I think the application closed on the 28th, and so we are in the process of doing the screening. By the end of the day, we have to start like a pilot programs for you to have innovation to solve maybe plastic problems, maybe climate change adaptation problem, maybe coming up with sustainable energy solutions, maybe for cooking, to minimize issues of deforestation, for instance. And so that one has so it is part of our transformation strategy. Now, because if you look at it, we have like 3 pillars and 6 enablers. And one of the enablers is how do we use innovation to solve environmental challenges.
Thank you. You may have started to answer questions that I will pose at the end of the day. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's interesting. I give you how many minutes?
But I'm seeing.
No, wait.
Okay, please. All right, thank you very much. I think we have actually enjoyed the discussion. And these are learning points for all of us. Because when we are discussing around Tai and other rivers, I was actually tempted to ask how far these rates have actually mitigated water pollution in those rivers. Because it's really important for us to take actions and how those actions will actually impact the life of people. Because I'm coming from Temple, and my constituency covers Pampana River and part of Pampana River. And most of the activities that we do. I must confess here that we do our best periodically as an institution. And to me, I know that maybe when people know that if it is coming to do it periodically, hence it is about livelihood, they will tend to anchor their activities more into the existing economic activities in those areas. But also looking at all these actions, I know what we are here for. You are responding to all of the things that we are for, looking at sustainable development, looking at the midterm national development plan, looking at the 5 big changes. All of your activities should respond to all of these things. And then with the discussion, we really see these activities aligning to all of these, most of the indicators in the national midterm development plan. You go to the 5 big changes, you go to the sustainable development goals. But principally, I have seen some major challenges in achieving all of these things. For instance, you look at, let's say, Goal 13, which is climate action. You look at Goal 11, which is sustainable cities and communities. Your actions, your activities, your focus should actually respond to all of these things. When you come onto the midterm development plan, national development plan 2024-2030, 2024-2030, you realize that we see anything 3.3 increasing investment in disaster management and governance. So all of your mandates, your activities geared towards addressing the issues of in the national development midterm national development plan. You look at your activities, agriculture, on the 5 big changes. But as I said earlier, we still have collaboration and coordination issues. How? We have the Ministry of Environment, We have the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Mines, we have the NMA, we have the NPPA, and the Ministry of Water Resources. All of these things are tied up to your activities because when you protect water, let's come back to goal 6, clean water and sanitation. And we have been talking about water pollution, which directly affecting residents along these riverline areas. Let's say for company the Thai River. When I was traveling to Kenema one of these days, I think the Sewa River is hugely affected, hugely polluted, and people they are bathing, taking bath in that river, which is really it's a very serious health issue. If really we don't step up to see how we can collaborate as a nation. But to me, I will subscribe to some of the submissions submitted by my colleague honorable members that we need to strengthen collaboration. I'm seeing most of your engagement, maybe with the law enforcing bodies. Law enforcing bodies. Yeah, it's about race. We've done series of race. But can we also deepen structural management or establishment? Can we also deepen our engagement with key stakeholders? You've identified few, and these are all threats to your activities because you see them as connivers. But how have you given them the orientation? How have you enlightened them? Mind you, this is an economic business. Somebody gets to the river, you pour $1,000, you get $50,000. For instance, it's huge, and it's very difficult to take people from that kind of business. But how are we going to engage them deeper to ensure that we protect the land? You already stated that environmental issues are like a battle issue between sustainable development and environment. Somebody wants to construct a house, and you have been told that's why it's a threat. That location is a threat location. Don't go there, don't construct the house there. But the person thinks if I construct the house there, I will go there, I have a structure, and I will live in that structure. Regardless of the issues, the risks surround them into that particular location. So now, we also have policies, institutional policies that are conflicting. It is good that we have a draft legislation now. But if you want us to come in as Parliament, as my brother rightly stated, that Parliament is critical in this whole thing. Of course, yes, Parliament is critical, but most of this information can be generated by the institution, EPA. Now, do we want us to like pass legislations in Parliament? What have we put together that we can support? A week ago, we passed a bill on the provision of child marriage. That was developed, and when it was brought in Parliament, parliamentarians saw that as a way of empowering girls. We supported. That one was a cross-party issue. But if we are coming together, we can come together as an institution to put policy in place that has the legs of giving impact to society. I see no reason why Parliament will not support it. And if the president sees that kind of bill in front of him, he will assent to that bill. Right? So our efforts now is to have a policy, coherence, and management of natural resources. If this one is missing, all of the issues that we have been discussing here will continue. So my last plea here, we want you as an institution to continue to collaborate. Don't see us as connivers. Sure, even though in the submission of orders, because that was stated, but we are very critical in your operations. We are very much critical in operation. Even when we said Parliament, at some point, called the agency to stop them, not to continue their rates. You need to understand all of these dynamics. Why were we stopped? What was our mandate? What activities did we take that prompted Parliament to stop us? In the video I saw, machines were bought down, people were arrested. You don't know, like, I think we need to know maybe our actions in our race. What are the mandates? Because we are not going to justify anything here, but Parliament is critical. Parliament needs you to work Parliament needs you to work with us so that we can do legislations that will impact the nation. We want to see when we go to America to justify our sustainable development, how far we've gone. We want to see, we say, okay, EPA, our agency in Sierra Leone are contributing to XYZ that has enhanced development, that has enhanced good health, that has enhanced agriculture. But if we don't have all of these things, it will be difficult. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for this opportunity. My advice here, we need to deepen our engagement, community engagement. Let's have community structures. Let's have people that will give us information and will make our people understand what we are doing as an agency. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay. Let me thank you very much.
I think now we've had all the problems. Now we are looking at a sustainable approach. How can we solve these issues? Of course, we are all aware that environmental issue across the country. It's a cross-cutting issue. And that is why in our transformation strategy, we are now establishing a national environmental committee. And that committee will include all the institutions, national compliance committee, wherein all of us can sit around the table, discuss the issue. For instance, mining. Now we are having the challenge on explosives. How can we as a country, as a government institution, handle this issue amicably? And that we will be engaging in the consultation in the next week, having all these players on board, because environmental issues not only seen as an issue of EPA, but an issue of agriculture, water resources. So we are now going to have this committee to enhance or strengthen the coordination, wherein all of us can sit and discuss the issue and map the way forward. So we are working towards that. And also at the international realm, we are now having a multilateral environmental coordination committee. Because when you talk about climate change, it has its own obligations. When you talk about biodiversity, it has its own obligations. Same for chemical. So we are now trying to see how we can have all these focal points. We meet at while that committee will be chaired by the Honorable Minister and deputized by the Executive Chair. So these are all things, strategies we are putting for sustainability. Sorry. The Minister of Environment. Mr. Minister of Environment. Sorry about that.
So then you see how protective the members of Parliament. You cannot venture into their own. No.
So these are the things we are working towards in addition to the Kingdom Environment Committee and District Environment Committee. But environmental issues, we should be sincere in our focus. That's the key word. As a citizen, because let's say for instance the mining that you assist, some people can say I'm doing artisanal mining, but the real thing they are doing is small scale mining, and by law they should acquire a license. But they pretend to as if they are not aware of the laws, and when the problem comes, it's EPA. So all of us as citizens in this country must be sincere in our focus.
Thank you ever so much. I think we've had a real good go at this particular discussion. Very real good go at this discussion. I'm going to overrule you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You know, it is difficult when your boss is around. Deputy is always a deputy. Every time you see it. So thank you very much, DPA. Thank you very much. Steve, I've learned a lot. And I don't bother you where my colleagues have already given their contributions. I don't want to continue to appeal to you so that we can continue to do our contribution to the other level at the remote areas. You know, in this country, when people present their reports, they might say, oh, we have gone to home, McKinney, we have with love. But they don't belong to all of us. Maybe some of us came from a very small village, and those villages are part of society. And you need to have the impact of the EPA also, because the EPA is supposed to run everywhere. These are very important institutions, because I recall there's an incident in Kabaferi between A and B. So people cannot be able to distinguish between EPA and NPA. So there is no need for us to educate our people. Okay? I think that is very important in our functions. Another issue which you mentioned is about sustainability. When you started talking about sustainability, the end was sustainability. And you mentioned about the integrity, Chairman. And as I said, some of us came from the remote area, kingdom level, where those integrity are breaking. Definitely, I want to confess what this house, a good number of our children, in terms of miracles and also but like the system, of course, the crime of the high time is also another time. Which will stability in terms of energy, I also want to bring it for this house. And I also need for us as our EPA to continue educating our people about the climate change. Our chairman mentioned that this was one of the times that we ever get the highest heat in our time. So we need more of education.
For me, that's the most exciting statement.
Thank you. So that our people down there, I repeat it, from the remote areas, the villages, the towns, need to get more education about this climate change at this particular area. So I want to also appeal to you that you use your office so that you can be able to tell our people. You said you cannot be able to talk to other security areas and try giving the information. But by going to the people,
that's on the raid.
On the raid, that's what I'm saying. Exclusively on the raid, that I can understand. But in other areas, which the people have to know, I think it's good for us to be able to get the political. We are the people who represent the town. One of our functions here is the people's representative. Have councillors, have members of parliament. It's of those education. If you communicate to those members of parliament, to those localities, it will help you more. Maybe they have their integrity there, they have their integrity in those areas. They can maybe use them as auxiliary for them to promote more of the job. I thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I was only pulling your leg, and you tried.
Thank you.
You tried. I think you were within time. So thank you very much. So I'm of the house, I'm sure you are all satisfied.
Yes, they've delved into everything.
Okay.
I think we are okay.
All right. An attempt was made by EPA to answer the questions. I hope those who ask particular questions are pleased with the answers that were provided.
Do you want us to convey any message to the areas we are going tomorrow? Because
I will summarize that.
I want to plead this.
Yes.
It's a plea. There is something looming. And I know Parliament is supposed to have edge over the things that's looming. We know most big mining companies are now signing this agreement, and those agreements are ratified by Parliament. There are some pros that are conflicting with what we are doing, so we should look into that. We just completed the mine rehabilitation estimator. Just when we are getting to most of the kind of companies that started coming back, some of them are stating that in their act they should not comply with what is in the act. So these are some of the challenges. I'm kindly pleading with you that you look into some of those ideas. Otherwise, it's going to pose very serious challenge.
Thank you.
Like you mentioned several times.
Thank you. What came out clearly from this meeting is the inconsistencies and the challenges that are there that are actually fostering our working against each other. And this is not beginner to you, I can tell you. We have started this exercise yesterday, I think yesterday, and all of a sudden, that is the one biggest problem that has reached this committee. The lack of consistency in policies themselves, in the laws that are actually ratified by us, members of parliament. That we are taking it off, and we will add this one to that, I can assure you. As I will now do the summing up, I want to recall your attention back to where we started. I want to remind you that we came here, and thank you very much for taking us to the length and breadth of what you do. I am in real sympathy with you, and I don't envy your job right now. I don't. I see there's too much of sweating. How I wish, the Ministry of Finance gives you much more than what you normally ask for. But you know what? You are always considered to be an income generation entity. And in fact, there's this claim that in fact you are one of the lucky entities that retain most of what you have. So hence, the argument is that you should not actually be grumbling too much. So yeah, that's our side.
So environment agencies across the world is not seen as
But that's how we are seeing.
But rather as an agency regulating institutions or actions that make use of it.
I understand.
And one of the reasons why, again, our hands are tied is because of that factor. Because you in as much as yes, you consider that you want to be hard on executing your mandate, but you also want to ensure that your responsibility for generating income is really taken into consideration.
I maybe so you need to.
That's why when I was talking to you, I said we use a balance of engagement, a translative approach. We go on hard, we come software, and we do engage. Because you want to really create a balance between what's your responsibility, what's your mandate, and what is required by the authorities of you.
Certainly. I know that, and I do agree with you, and I think I can remember arguing